For the people who haven't seen the first video, can you state your name and where you're from again?
My name is Alf, I'm from Venice. Any drug that's been put out here is a government instrument. That's how I feel about it. Because they said Kennedy had the recipe for crack in 1963.
Really?
Yeah.
Kennedy? Yeah. And they
Say no new
assassinated
shit.
him.
They assassinated him. Yeah, yeah.
Back in the day, it was the crack era in the 80s, the era that you came up in Venice. What type of drugs do you think are prevalent and running through Venice now?
Crystal meth and them pills. Crystal meth, powder cocaine, and pills.
Uh,
Yeah, crystal meth is the big one though.
yeah.
Because not just with our people, but the people that have traveled down here. Like that's all you see now. You know what I mean? That's why there's all these homeless encampments. 90% of homeless encampments, that's what's going on in them. You know
Crystal
what I mean?
meth.
Crystal meth. You know what I mean?
Did you see that crystal meth a lot when you were living on the
Yeah,
streets?
yeah. That was the main focus down there.
Did you ever try it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
What's the difference between that and crack?
Because there's more chemicals, and that's why you see a lot of people around there acting like zombies and painting their face and doing all kind of, because they're eating their brains up. You know, and it's a longer lasting high. You know, it's cheaper and it's longer lasting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can smoke some meth right now. The people that shot it, they would be high for like 3 days. Like, you know what I mean?
3 days.
One shot, they're high for 3 days.
Damn.
Just up, doing dumb shit, digging in trash and breaking in houses, just doing crazy shit. That's why the crimes have become so brazen now. Like, you know what I mean? Because a lot of them people, you sleep deprived and you've been up for some days. You know what we looking at is some craziness. They looking at is reality. They don't see the picture until they go to jail and calm down and got some rest and like, damn, I did that. Like, yeah, fool, you was running down the 110 freeway with a pistol in your hand. You thought you was in a video game or something. Like, you know what I mean? That's how it does though. But like I say, any drug that's been put out here is a government instrument. That's how I feel about it. Because they said Kennedy had the recipe for crack in 1963.
Really?
Yeah.
Kennedy? Yeah. And they
Say no new
assassinated
shit.
him.
They assassinated him. Yeah, yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And one thing about America, they ain't got a problem with their own.
Yeah.
They don't have a problem with it. They don't, and they disguise it real good.
Looking back on life now, what would you have done differently? If you could give yourself some advice, or if you could have done things over, what would you have done differently looking back in your life now?
Stayed in school and stayed chasing my dream.
Yeah.
I was a dream deferred, man. You know what I mean? Like I say, I grew up. I had cousins that played in the NFL. I was always around athletes. When I stayed with my grandmama and them, I was always around athletes. And that's one of the reasons I moved back to Santa Monica as a teenager, is because I wanted to excel in football. I wanted, Venice High wasn't really giving out scholarships. That's why I was, you know what I mean? And I used to go work out with these dudes. Like, it was nothing to see Ronnie Lott at my grandmother's house or Marcus Allen, none of them type. They was all over there, like, you know what I mean? And I done workouts with these dudes. And I just don't never stop chasing your dream, man. That's one thing I can tell the kids. Never stop chasing your dream. That's what I wish I'd have stayed focused on. Even if I would have went to college and never got to the pros, at least I'd have made something of myself, and I'd have missed a lot of that shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Was there a certain time where you intentionally stopped chasing your dreams? Was there a certain point? Or?
After I got shot, because I had made in my mind. Right before I got shot, I was gonna go to Santa Monica City College and start trying to play again. You know what I mean? Then I got shot, went to the pen. It was over after that. Like, you know what I mean? One thing about sports, you can't just take a whole bunch of years off. That shit it accelerates too fast. Muscle memory and all that. Like, it's not the same. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes trial and error, it'll change your mindset too. Like, you know what I mean? Some people get it fast, some people don't. Some people still ain't got it yet. I still talk to some of my friends out there like, this is me till I die. I'm like, all right, homie. You know what I mean? Like I tell them, I ain't trying to judge you. I'm just telling you it's a better way. It's a slower walk. It's an easier way, and it's more peaceful. Like, you know what I mean? It's the greatest thing on earth is peace, and people really don't grasp that. Like, you know what I mean? You've been living in chaos all your life, and you finally get some peace. It's like taking a hit of some good dope. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, this is what it's about. Let me kick my shoes off, and put my feet on the table. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What age do you feel like you first started going out and really start gangbanging?
Shit, probably about 15, 16.
And around that time, were you say when you run into other people that were from different gangs, was it no gunplay involved? Was it just all fighting?
Most of the time, most
combat?
time it was hand-to-hand combat. They go to swap meets and shit like that, and concerts. It was hand-to-hand combat. And see, the crazy thing about this community is that a lot of dudes that end up being from other places that we don't get along with grew up here. Like, I got cousins from PBG. I got Marvin and all that. Like, them dudes used to live down here. Like I say, when we stayed on Santa Clara, the Cheathams and all them, Day and all, he ended up being like Devil from Marvin, my cousin Lil Nutty from PBG, Big Insane from PBG, rest in peace. And they used to be down here. Like, you know what I mean? Then when this gangbanging shit came, it kind of like, and there's been places, times we done went somewhere and squared off, being like, man, well, I grew up with you, so I really can't do nothing to you. You know what I mean? Let them get down. Like, you know what I mean? Some stuff like that.
In the 80s, When do you feel like you were at your peak, where you felt like you were on top of your game and you kind of had what you wanted or what you got into the drug game for?
Probably from years from like 85 all the way to 88 until I got shot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I got shot, it changed a whole lot of shit in my life. And I wish now when I look back on everything in hindsight, if I would have been more mature, like if I'd have had the money I had as an adult, because I was a kid, if I would have had it like I was like 20, 25 years old or something like that, maybe my outcome would have been different. Like, you know what I mean? Because even my mom, even though she didn't agree with what I was doing, she used to always tell me, man, I've been hearing them all the money maker, come put some of that money up over here. You know, I didn't trust nobody. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And shit like that. And I ended up getting burnt by a couple of people. That comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But I think at one point I just wanted to show my people, especially my family, that I didn't need them. Not in a negative way, but I'm grown, I can take care of myself. So I wasn't really trying to depend on them for anything.
Back in the day then, were your aspirations at 15, 16 years old to become one of the biggest drug dealers in Venice, in Los Angeles, or what were you aspiring to be back in the day when you were in the streets like that?
When I first got into the game, I was a football player all my life. Like all I wanted to do was play football. But once I got into the streets, it's too hard to manage both of them at the same time. Going to school and trying to get good grades and go to football practice and your beeper going off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm missing money, man. Fuck this shit. Like, you know what I mean? I wish I'd have had somebody that just grabbed me by my collar and just like, man, fuck that. You got potential. You know what I mean? Even my coach was like, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before they start hating on me because they start knowing about what I was doing in the streets, but they like, basically like, we ain't gonna waste our time with you because we see where you headed. Like, you know what I mean? But if I just had that one person like, man, look, this what you gonna do. Beat me up, whatever. You know what I mean? I might have made it out differently, but once I got into the game, I wanted to be like the Tootie Reeses and all them other people that I should see. Like, you know what I mean? Because I spent a lot of my time through LA, like, you know what I mean? I had females out there. I was always making moves out there and all that. So I used to see the dudes riding through in Benzes and all like young ass dudes with a brag Benz. Like, what was that? Like, oh, that's such and such. You know what I mean? Then the names that you be hearing in the streets, then you start seeing the people, you start meeting them. Like, yeah, I want to be like this fool. Like, you know what I mean? I want to run a whole city. You know what I mean? But not knowing, like I say, it's a lot of stuff comes along with that. It's not on cakewalk. You know, it's not.
How did making money during that time change you as a person, or did it change you as a person?
I'm not gonna say it changed me. It made me more independent. You know, you got to think a lot of our parents did the best they could. So, but at that time, you know, it wasn't everybody was making $50 an hour or having a job that was having $75,000 a year. Like most of them were just like the generation I came from. Most of our parents were young.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We were the first kids. Our parents were young, so they were still trying to find their way. So they had jobs that were able to put food on the table, pay the bills, and have a little something to the side. You know what I mean? Like we was going school shopping. Like I was growing up, you got school clothes for 2 weeks. You got a pair of black shoes, a pair of white shoes. You know what I'm saying? A few, 5 pair of pants, five shirts, and you mix and match for the rest of the school year.
Yeah.
So now when I got to making money, I can go buy me 10 pair of Fila's, a Fila ski jacket, a Louis Vuitton sweatsuit. You know, it changed me into the point to where I don't have to depend on my parents no more. A lot of us raised ourselves, so to speak. Not that our parents wasn't doing their part, but we were able to start taking care of ourselves and doing things a lot differently. Like I look at the kids now that are 15 and 16 years old compared to when we were 15 and 16 years old. Like, you know what I mean? And the independence is a far margin. It's a big margin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is that because of the time you guys are living in, you think?
I think it's because of the time we're living in, and the kids nowadays they're tech babies. A lot of them don't even come outside. They stuck on the phone. They stuck in the computer, and they don't have to. You don't even see kids playing on the street no more. Like you know, we hung out. We was outside. Like when they say, right, we outside. No, we was outside. You know what I mean? Playing football in the street, baseball, alleys and alleyways, and all that was our football field. So like you know what I mean? We was out here running, tackling people, running in their cars. Stayed at the park. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I was 6 years old, I had my own apartment and all that, paying my own bills and all that. You get your kids 16 years old now. They better know how to tie their shoes. Even when I moved into my apartment, my mom came in and broke down and cried and begged me to come home. Yeah. But I wasn't listening. I'm not going to go home. You see all the stuff I got in here? Like, I'm not going home? Like, I got to have a curfew? Yeah. Man, no. You know what I mean? So I was stubborn.
Do you think for a lot of other people then it's the same type of reality where if they're a young, poor, brother from the neighborhood, they're not about to listen to their mama. They're just about to go get this money. You think that's pretty much the same across the board, regardless of where you're from?
I don't really think it's all depending on who your influencer were too. I was just real stubborn, and some kids that get out here and they feel like on their own that they don't belong out here. Yeah. They'll retreat and go home themselves after a few hard nights out here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just had a surrounding cast of idiots with me. You know what I mean? So I couldn't fail. We had each other back. So like I was comfortable out here.
Yeah.
I didn't, and I felt free.
Did your relationship with your parents change because of that? Did you become more distant from your parents because you had all your own stuff and you didn't need them financial reasons anymore?
And not only that, it's just because my mom, they didn't approve of what I was doing. You know what I mean? So that's basically why I moved out. It was like, I can either stay here and live correctly, or I can move out on my own and be grown. Like, everybody was in a rush to be grown. That's why I tell my kids, and the youngsters coming up, don't be in no hurry to get grown, man. You're only a child for 18 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take advantage of the childhood and learn something from it. You know what I mean? Like, we was thrusting to the streets at a young age. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I done lived 2 lifetimes already.
You said you feel like you lived 2 lifetimes and been through a lot as far as even living on the streets and doing crack and all that. How does it feel to be over 2 years sober now?
Feel great.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And I was sitting back the other day, and I kind of felt like, I said, man, I'm turning into an old man. Like, you know what I mean? You start applauding yourself for the simple things in life, like being able to pay your credit card bills. I'm write stuff down now, watch my money and all that now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. I feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like I say, I don't have what I used to have, but I got what I need. I'm not tech savvy, so this tech shit really gets to me. I hate even using my credit card because I always get to thinking, man, somebody gonna clip me for my money. They gonna run me. You know what I mean? So I keep every piece of paper. You know what I mean? And I write down, so I know my money to the dollar. Like, you know what I mean? Because I work for it now. Yeah. Back in the day, I knew it was coming. I would never was gonna be without it. But now when you work for your money on a regular basis, you have to really watch it. Like,
if you would have wrote down things back in the day when you're making a lot of money in the 85, 88, range, would you have ended up keeping any more money, you think, if you'd been writing things down?
I think I would have kept more money because I was fucking off a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, stupid stuff. You know what I mean? Really, to be truthful, back then, it wasn't the flex culture, but a lot of times we did what we did to be seen and get women. Like, you know what I mean? To go get sharp, go get, and come to the park, with your fly shit on and all that. Or
what's changed? I feel like it's still the same thing
today. It's different, but people walk around flashing all their money. I ain't never sat around and just put all my money up on TV. Like, you know what I mean? And I got $1 million sitting right there. That's how the people come knock on you and tie you up. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I done take a couple of pictures with some money in my hand and stuff like that. But I don't know, the culture just seemed a whole lot different back then, because even though we were flexing on each other, we looked out for one another. It's the people out here can have a gold mine right now, learn how they can make $1 million a day doing something simple and won't even tell you about it. Even growing up, if you didn't really know us, and we went out somewhere else, you wouldn't know who was the money man of the group, because we all looked the same. Yeah. You know what I mean? We all looked out for each other. Yeah. Wasn't
people weren't trying to outshine each other.
Nobody trying to outshine each other. Even the people that were out there on top, they had little crews and everybody had money. Like, they make sure that people had money. It wasn't just like we all get money, we ain't giving you nothing. Like, we gonna give you something, you gonna know how to get out there and get it like us, or that's on you.
I wanted to ask, some of the ballers, the major players that were selling drugs in the drug game, are a lot of those people still around and living today?
Not a lot of them. There's some around.
The ones from the neighborhood, though. The ones from Venice.
Yeah. There's still a few of them around. Some of them have moved on to other places. You know what I mean? Some of them died. Yeah. Some of them became addicts themselves. You know what I mean? And some of them just rebounded. And like I say, nobody really left with nothing. Yeah. Nobody really left. You can't really say. I can't really honestly sit here and say that nobody really left with anything. I know I got a couple of homies, they got a house or something, not in the hood though, but just other places, you know what I mean, and stuff like that.
Looking back on it now, what age do you feel like you finally matured into manhood?
So when I finally matured into manhood, I would say probably when I got about 35 years old, brother.
35.
Like when I got out this time, like when I came home, I've been home 16 years now, and I came home this time. I say right before 35, because when I was in prison, I was, like I said, when I first went to prison, I didn't even have a mustache. They was calling me youngster. You know what I mean? When I left prison this time, they was calling me OG. Yeah. And I refused to let them call me Pops. When I go, you know what I mean? So I learned I had to straighten that shit out, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I had a chance to do some good living before I went to prison the last time, you know what I mean? And even though I was still in the streets, it just, my wife, when I had a wife and she had some kids and shit, and we had a bond. Like, so it's like, damn, I missed, that was one time I came to jail and I missed that. Like we used to do stuff, like you wake up in the morning, kids jumping in the bed with, all that type of stuff. They grown now, but it's just like I missed that. As opposed to going to jail, before it's like, let me see which 3 or 4 bros I'm gonna have running for me. You know what I mean? Who gonna come up here this week, who gonna come up that week. With this, it was more of a, man, you messed up your family, bro. Like you had some shit going, like, and you messed your family up with your dumbness, like, you know what I mean? And I had wanted to get back to that so bad, you know what I mean? So that's when I think a lot of stuff about life started hitting me, and I started reading a lot of different self-help books and things of that nature. And I got out, and it's like I say, this is the first time in my life I ever stayed out over. The longest I stayed out before this was probably like 11 months. Damn. Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How has prison changed you as a person?
In survival mode, you know what I mean? Because you really get to see different genres of folks, like how people live differently, like from the east side to the south side to the north side, up north, and all these different places, and the things that we take for granted, like this beach, is like an amazement to them. Or not only that, just like shit, some people don't even know how to wash their ass correctly in jail. You know what I mean? Then you get to jail and you see this, and then you see people that you can learn stuff from too, though, like on survival mode. Like, you know what I mean? So if you never really had a hard days and you in a cell with somebody that grew up with scraps in their pocket, then they can teach you something, you know, how to survive. You know what I'm saying? I found that we were all different, but we were the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had the same struggles. We come from the same places. Even dudes that we supposed to get along with. Like, you know what I mean? They had the same problems we had. Like, you know what I mean? Like, shit, we the same people.
Speaking of prison, do you think the United States will ever have a prison population that is not the #1 prison population in the world?
No.
You think the United States will always have the most prisoners in the world?
And because they first of all, I'm gonna speak just from the California aspect. Here it is, you got one of the richest cities, richest states in the world. Mm-hmm. Now, you're building a state of the have and have-nots. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to what's going on now. They gave us all this little money last year with this PPPs and all this, and everybody got away with it. We thought people was gonna get cracked, but only the ones that did the $1 million things, they got cracked with it. But all these other dudes, they got away with it.
Yeah.
They built a lifestyle up. They probably got cars, apartments, you know, and figured this money was gonna keep going because the pandemic was gonna keep going. So they figured that they was gonna keep being able to do that. Mm-hmm. So now that it ran out, the government told them, okay, we've completed our experiment on y'all, because all it was an experiment to see how they was gonna act. You know what I mean? Now they run up in everything they can get, man. You know, recidivism rate is gonna always be up high, especially amongst us. You know what I mean? Because you get a felony, so now you got to work at a market making $12, $13 an hour stocking shelves all night long to a dude that's usually getting racks. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So in his mind, subconsciously, like, man, I'm finna rob this market. You know what I mean? And a lot of them dudes do. They get a job and start robbing the jobs, or you get a felony in your record. Now you can't get no job. You know what I mean? So now you're out there trying to survive off of GR. You got 2 kids. Your baby mama looking at you as less than a man because she got a job and you don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? She got to take care of you. She got to put food on the table for you. Yeah. It's time to go out. She got to get you clothes. You know what I mean? So now you're up on a lot of stress. So what's the first thing you going to do? Man, this ain't me. Let me go run up in something. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's a lot of pressure that's been put on our communities, period. Like, you know what I mean? Even from the people that are working class people. It's hard out here, man. Yeah. You know, and they making it that way.
Because you start hustling so young, do you think that made you think a certain type of way? As far as like, I'm gonna go out and get this shit regardless by any means necessary. Mm-hmm. And how do you think that has played into your life as you've gotten older?
I think how it's played into my life as I've gotten older is that now I wear out the consequences of everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? See, one thing about fast money, you can get a whole lot of it, get a whole lot of it fast, but when it's gone, it's gone. What I've learned in my older life is that working, you got a steady income. Hustling is a gamble. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You might get a bad product, you might get raided, you might get robbed. And now everything that you work for that you ain't got right now, so you sit on your hands waiting for the next thing. Or or even like back then, like I wasn't just selling drugs, I was robbing too. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like you put yourself in position to do a whole lot of room. Whereas, okay, I got this job, let me manage it correctly. You know what I mean? And even if, you know, a lot of dudes like, well, you ain't gonna never have no bad bro working no 9 to 5. Well, I don't want a woman I gotta pay for. You know what I mean? I want somebody I can build with. It's a difference. I don't want no high maintenance woman. I can't talk to you unless I can buy you a Gucci purse and Gucci shoes. You got on $17,000 worth of clothes, but you got a 2-cent mind. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? And it's crazy because when I came home this time, I broke up with a girl for that, man. She wanted me to buy a Louis Vuitton purse. And I'm like, you're like, what? We just started, I ain't want me to buy a Louis Vuitton purse and you ain't got but $5 in your pocket. What you want a Louis Vuitton purse for? Yeah. We went back and forth for a little while. She broke up with me. Okay, call me broke and all that. And I'm working the Ori front at the time, making like $22 an hour, like working 84 hours a week. Like I had enough money, but it just, I'm not finna do that. Like, you know what I mean? But when your mindset changes, so does your the characteristics of you look for in success or in love or a friendship with people. Like, you know what I mean? Even the people that's still out here in the streets that's still on and doing good, they still, you know, I'm still friends with some of them. Yeah. We come around, you know, they know if we go to this restaurant that's $100 a night plate that you want them to go to, you know you paying. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? I probably could, but I'm not gonna stress myself like that. But if you want me to hang out with you, if you want me to, okay, yeah, I'll go hang out with y'all, but I'm not, you know, I should be the bottle buyer and all that. I'm not doing none of that no more. My money, I'm trying to do some shit. I'm trying to invest in some metaverse, Bitcoin, and all that. I'm trying to get some money, man. You know what I mean? So I don't got time for all that, you know? When you change your mindset and change your surroundings and change your people, a lot of that stuff, it doesn't weigh on you no more. You don't have those stresses on you no more. You know what I mean? If you around some people that's in the streets and feel like they got to get a bunch of money, then your mind gonna be like, I got to do the same shit. Like, you know what I mean? And you'll stop looking at what you have already in front of you. You know what I mean? It's a blessing to even have a job right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people don't see that. Make do with it. You know?
Yeah.
Shit.
Sure.
Life give you lemons, make lemonade. If you like this content, subscribe to GV Loco.